On the weekend of England's narrow victory over Ireland in the Six Nations, the Aviva Premiership entered round 15. With the race for the top four hotting up week by week, there was some incredible rugby on offer, as well as a couple of milestones for two of the Premiership's most loyal servants. Mark Cueto and Mike Tindall both trotting out for their 200th appearances in the league. It was Tindall's Gloucester who kicked off the weekend at Kingsholm against fourth place Harlequins. The Cherry and Whites have been struggling for form this season and were behind early on through a brace of Ben Botica penalty kicks. With Quins prop Mark Lambert off the field, Sione Calamafoni got the hosts on the scoreboard after some positive Gloucester build-up. The visitors had to cope with the loss of Mike Brown and Danny Kerr to England duty, but their replacements made up for their absence, as Carl Dixon made way for fullback Ollie Lindsay-Haig to score. Quins were looking good value for their lead, but then came the Gloucester onslaught. Matt Fesic and then Dan Murphy made the pressure tell, notching a try each to build what proved to be an unassailable lead. There was a late surge from Comarosho's men, with Dave Ward muscling his way over, which did at least give Quins fans the consolation of a losing bonus point. Mark Cueto's double hundred of Premiership appearances was planned in the best possible way with his 5th minute score. Stretching him further ahead on top of the all-time try scorers chart was exactly the start that winless Worcester needed to avoid as they struggled with the physical presence of the Sharks. Danny Cipriani punished them further from the kicking tee, striking over from long distance to take Sale into double figures. Worcester had no answer to their opponent's forward strength, with Sharks captain Dan Bray putting his side out of sight after busting over the try line. The final 20 minutes proved more positive for Worcester. Lock Mariano Gallardo scoring the second of his 2 late tries after great work from Jeremy Suar and new boy Ryan Land. But it was too little too late, the afternoon belonging to top 4 hopeful Sale. Bath welcomed London Wasps to the Wreck, the two sides slugging out an entertaining match that saw 7 tries in total. It had been 11 matches since their last home league defeat, but the West Country outfit were without star man George Ford, called up on England duty. His replacement Tom Heathcote settled into his new role almost immediately, putting over a first-minute penalty for the hosts. Their opening try soon followed, Anthony Watson with the finish after a flowing Bath move. Watson then added a second try, intercepting a promising Wasps attack and streaking the length of the pitch to dot down. Wasps were quick to respond and put together a great string of passes to allow Nathan Hughes space on the flank to score. But the hosts looked irresistible every time they went forward, and just a minute after conceding, it was the informed Nick Abendanon who went over for Bath, keeping them in command going into the break. Vilami Helu scored early on after the break to draw Wasps closer, but it was the try bonus point time for Bath on 53 minutes as Peter Stringer and Ollie Devoto combined to launch Carl Eastman. The former rugby league man put on the afterburners and raced over the line. It would have been harsh on Dai Young's team to travel back down the M4 empty-handed, and were duly awarded a losing bonus point when fullback Elliot Daly went over 10 minutes from time. An enthralling encounter, but for Wasps skipper Chris Bell, it was not a performance to remember.
Yeah, no, truly gutted really. It was, I would say, if you're watching it as a neutral or a Bath supporter, I imagine it'd be quite an entertaining game. We came down here to play rugby and to throw the ball around and challenge Bath's defence, which I think we did, but we the first 20 minutes didn't help ourselves, couldn't really clear up the kick-offs effectively enough and gave them points which were hard to claw back.
Marlon Yard returned to action after his injury layoff, with London Irish hopeful of maintaining their good run after recent wins at Saracens and Wasps. Leicester have been struggling for form and stuttered the Majewski from kick-off, conceding a penalty that allowed James O'Connor to put the Exiles 3-0 up. But the Tigers soon found a foothold, pressurising Irish deep in their own 22, with scrum half Ben Youngs wriggling over for the score. It was another Tigers set piece that opened up the Irish for the second score, this time Lagovi Mulipola getting his name on the score sheet after a driving maul by the Leicester pack. O'Connor's penalties were keeping Irish in the game, but his failure to bring down Nicky Gonova allowed the Fijian to claim Leicester's 3rd try of the afternoon. Brian Smith sent Yard on to try and make inroads for Irish, and the hosts were given a glimmer of hope when Leicester's Thomas Waldron was sent to the bin for not rolling away. But the Exiles only mustered a couple of second-half penalties, the last from the boot of Ian Humphreys, leaving them with a losing bonus point for their efforts. A game of two halves at Kingston Park saw Northampton take the initiative in the opening moments. The quick thinking of Khan Fotualihi from a quick restart pulled the Falcons' defence apart, with James Wilson exploiting the space and putting his side in front. Tom Stevenson had been enjoying life in the starting 15 of late, and his fleet-footed break created the chance for a well-deserved try. Wilson added a second before the break, with Stephen Myler flighting the conversion just right in the blustery conditions. The second half saw Falcons begin to match their table-topping opponents physically, but for all their endeavour it was only a Rory Clegg penalty that troubled the scoreboard. That was until Noah Cato intercepted a Northampton pass and sprinted in for a much-needed try for the hosts. With the conversion from Joel Hodgson, it was enough for the Falcons to claim a point. Dean Richards will be hoping they can maintain their competitive edge when Tigers come to town in round 16. Saracens took on the Chiefs at the Allianz, hoping to get their home record back on track after losing to Irish a fortnight ago. The visitors started the brighter, and after some solid build-up play, the ball found its way to Ian Whitten, who went over for the first try of the match. The Sarries forwards began to exert their influence on the game, and it was James Johnson after the half-hour mark who bustled over, with Charlie Hodgson levelling the scores, and it stayed 7-all at the break. Gareth Steenson did edge Chiefs back into the lead temporarily with his 45th minute penalty, but it was not long before the hosts were back in command. Shout Brits drove home after a well-executed line-out move, and the host never looked back. Brits didn't have things all his own way, running into Wayne Barnes, who knocked the South African hooker to the floor. Further kicks from Hodgson compounded the win, which keeps Saracens on the pace at the summit of the Premiership table, just a point off Northampton Saints. Elsewhere, victories for Bath and Leicester see them complete the top four picture in round 15, with Quinn's loss at Kingsholm dropping them to 5th. Sale's win over bottom side Worcester keeps them in the hunt for 4th and gives them breathing space of the tight mid-table bunch. Newcastle's single point against Saints keeps them adrift in 11th, but with a 12-point buffer ahead of the Warriors. So for all the latest Aviva Premiership news, subscribe to the official YouTube channel or log on to premiershiprugby.tv.